I think we can get started, right? Okay. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining. So before we get into the meeting, I just wanted to run you through two slides. The first one is the Code of Ethics and Conduct. So please help us create an inclusive environment. That means like treat everyone with respect, empathy, consideration, and professionalism. And the following will not be tolerated: abuse or harassment in any form. And participating in hybrid. In-person participants, so if you have any questions, please just raise your hand and we'll bring the mic to you. And for virtual participants, please use the hand raise button before speaking. And before speaking, please state your name and affiliation. Yeah, thank you. And with this, I will hand it over to Pavel.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Pavel Nikanurov from GeneXt. One moment. Next slide. Yeah, a year ago, we hosted a similar session towards GA4GH powered TRE SPEs. It was lots of information from our side and a modest room for questions. This time we, as you may see, turned the tables. And next slide, please. So we propose to discuss how we can automate TRE's deployment and automate trust management in the digital environment. Next slide, please. No. No. Yes. Yeah. So we cannot provision a namely trusted research environment, but we may design an interoperable way to provision a processing environment itself and to ensure that it's secure, that we apply proper security mechanism, and we could try to automate digital trust decisions to make this TRE finally trusted. And we have three tables. One is about policies and governance, another one about trust, privacy enhancing technologies or broader trust enhancing technologies. And a third one is about discussing how it could be integrated into GA4GH ecosystem, GA4GH APIs. Yeah, so with that, we prepared questions. You can find it in our session agenda doc. We have 20 minutes for each round, and we will turn the tables 3 times. Yeah. Yeah, done. Yeah.
Thank you, Management. Yeah, so for this World Cafe thing, basically there are 3 tables with 3 topics. Did you show the topic?
Regan, could you please next slide? Yes.
Yeah, so one is on the policies and governance side, and here, like, maybe the core guiding question is like, okay, like, this project is not about defining policies and governance for TREs. That's done elsewhere, like EOSC-Entrust, and but the thing is, like, how can we like translate the policy language stuff into technical requirements that can then be used as a blueprint to provision or identify an existing processing environment that is built on GA4GH standards? Then so I'm kind of like now this next one is trust and privacy enhancing technology. So this is kind of like asking the question: so how can this whole process be secured and trust verified? And what kind of technologies can actually be applied inside the TREs, or let's call them whatever, secure processing environments. So it's a little hazy, the definition, but let's say on a technical level. And then the last one is the GA4GH product integration and architecture. So how can we build the system such that it can provision those secure processing environments on demand, or that they can be identified. So can we maybe use the service registry to find like so the service instance? So can a given service say, like, let's say, hey, I'm a test. Can I advertise somewhere that I know how to deal with GRIP4GH, let's say? So how can we build this? Right, so there's 3 tables. I'm the guide for table, the last one, GA4GH product integration, which is here. Pavel's table on trust and privacy enhancing technologies is this one. And then Thomas is guiding the discussion on policies and governance, which is this table. And then after 20 minutes, everybody moves except for the people in the guides. So me, Tom, and Pavel. And then you, clockwise. I mean, of course, we could also just move ourselves. That is, yeah, that's maybe easier, but it's less fun. And also, it's less fun, and also like maybe it gives you a little bit of a break. You know, you're sitting down on a different table. So let's try like that. Right, I think that's pretty much. Ah, yeah, online. So for the online participants, we have 3 breakout rooms, and so we do acknowledge that it's probably hard for you to get heard because it's going to be quite noisy. So I think you will just basically have to write stuff, and I will just read it out. But I hope that you will be able to listen. I'm just not sure how good the experience will be, but let's give it a try. I'm sorry. Correct. So if you, Tom, and you, Pavel, and myself can log into the Zoom link and then join the breakout room so that the people can hear what happens at each table. Right. Any questions? So I mean, there will be the guiding questions for each of the.
It's just a last question from our side. So please welcome to cut it in any way you feel fit.
Yeah, I mean, like the discussion is free, like flowing, but yeah. So there are some guiding questions. So if you look at the agenda, I see most of you, if not all, have your laptop. So then maybe go to the agenda doc, and there's a link to the World Cafe session, and there it has some guiding questions. So that, but I will kind of like read them out at the table also, and I guess we all do, and as a starter. Okay, shall we set the timer and get started? I guess somehow we don't see the breakout room. We have to activate it. Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, open all rooms. Yeah, now it's open.
Okay. Can you see it now, Tom?
Oh yeah.
I sent them the architecture.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know if you can invite yourself, that's right, Catherine. I gotta put it, let's not.
Just 1 minute.
But although it would be best if I could be in the chat there, but. This, I guess, I'll be stuck. This. You want to give a question about this, this topic. So I can start by reading out loud. Oh, sure. I have a second chat. I think you're excited. Everyone's in this context here.
I don't have the Zoom open.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the spec basically.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That was
I think 1 minute to run.
Oh, okay, yes. We're there. Okay, and so there's the questions guide the procedure of the
Okay,
different breakout sessions.
I guess most of you, I think, the questions open.
I guess.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, for setting that up.
You go around and see
Weather, yeah, maybe come a little bit.
like we can have yeah.
Yeah, so just this table here is how can we actually, maybe like one of the hard things like together. Let's say we have like also a formal description of like what is the secure process of the end. So if we drop a this is already at this point we are to say okay, job has to have encryption as well, right? Maybe has to be GA4GH, but it also has to do like provide like differential or other, which is also not very good. But like, how could a system look like? It is composed of maybe things like client side, middleware, the question is always for
Question.
so yes or no, also or even a way that you can identify whether it has such an environment in our network, or whether it can provide it on demand, given those technical stuff. Right, and for some questions, easy one.
Good question.
Yeah,
What are the actual things you're applying with your the other one is
and what gaps exist in current year for their product and think about what it is right now. And each year for this API service. I don't how my APIs convey a certain context. I'm not sure that yeah, so okay, your question on like live anyway, here we from sending multiple clouds, how can you APIs represent where work goes out,
I'm not the native.
and yeah, what requirements does a modular architecture because for example, if there's different transfer privacy and homomorphic encryption. So can we build this in a way that is respectively both are somehow used, and how could I look sorry and of course this is like kind of laying out the work for the next 3 years. So the point here is to like kind of get some initial ideas of problems rather than having necessary solutions. So we can start like writing a nice paper on what we want. That's so how do you feel about it? How do we?
I feel like I feel like they told me something is all in feet. We're supposed to answer actually myself. You need to. I don't know. I was the impression.
Okay. Yeah, the first thing about number of years.
People just probably just don't know. I agree, but well, validation line. Like, what are the numbers required for the compliance?
Okay, so that's that. Great learning. The searching from some level, the functional we check.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how it works. Like, if you are reading it, like, they're going to the hour else for a question. Before that, I would think more, how to argue out, right? It's like what you said, like, we really appreciate that, and clear observation that yes, is agreed upon, but those three things.
Yeah, and then, I mean, it's also the negative.
Those are the things that
about
we definitely
and
discuss. Yeah, I think the other things are cool. I think we always listen to from the TRE. I think they're which are
Well, what's
Yeah.
what
and the thing is, it's all girl is still like. She doesn't have to leave GA4 before that. I mean, of course, it would be nice to demonstrate all the like big or other groups of them, but TRE was have to have. It doesn't have a clear set of text to validate it. I mean, ISO 2701, I think doesn't have, yeah, no, I don't think it's that, like, I don't back up there.
Like I said, I get that, I understand.
There's something full stop.
So I'm just shifting with well,
It should be enough.
I'm here to get that.
We're really
Like,
like I said,
like,
really not
relation outside.
How can you
As a legal Yeah,
I'm starting with the bike.
What's the assumption?
Super.
Well,
I'm not expecting that.
Yeah,
good actually. Yes, I'm like a full period. That's kind of doing the main one. We're talking about the cost of it's the TR, and I think like you have basic environment to run it. And other things like.
Well, I think the practical question is then just those initial things. Where's the
The federation problems that.
those holes.
Yeah, so it's like.
There's like, every platform has a CR or something that they're saying right now, right? They're all like pretty sweet out there.
The computer is cute.
So, like,
FaceTime with something.
it should be, it should be like, the subset of all the all since we just mentioned, it's crazy. It's something trying to the community has some read on it. Out the end of the map. I thought we got. And there's some barely have there, so lawyers and probably things so there's actually federal gas. You can't federal and have ISO 2701. It seems like
Yeah, like the way that I did no, this is important. We somehow on the terminal. And I think somebody in the kickoff meeting pointed out that here we kind of more that we cannot like there's governance, there's dialogue, legal stuff that needs to be signed, some hold back. We don't want to concern ourselves with that. So what's like so it's difficult to look at. So what we can maybe do is that we can take some instructions to automate the provisioning of some environment which gives the technical backdrop or foundation in the theory is more than that, but that's part of I would hope that we don't confuse. So that's why we like introduce secure processing environment as probably another law. But that's what basically what we mean by that is that okay, this is maybe like a test plus a verse plus some storage, legal years. Like with some encryption, like that is provisioned according to some particular requirements, technical requirements. And so there's an endpoint and say, hey, I've translated this legal document into the technical requirements. The technical requirements are formalized, and then I can go to let's say the service register and say, hey, give me a test. Is there already a service that allows me to do this processing? And if there is, then yeah, sure, then I send my job there. And if there is, then I'm asking on demand, hey, I need like a computer environments that capture those technical requirements, and then there has to be somehow an additional what we want to do is any of those create a modular framework around you for this product that can build that
yeah, I know we have.
No, it's an environment that is run by a
Yes.
Okay.
yeah,
There's a lot of security software. Human life for something happens on those. Sometimes it doesn't make the right.
And I think one is right without the
No, yeah. You probably right.
secondary.
You
have to redefine that. Or you can complete art swinging another way, it's like the house separate out. So you can kind of re-certify it. So let's say, I think of the alternative, TRE over there. So they have some kind of work. And the way you get right now, I log into that. I access the alternative is coming out redefining it. Probably need to have outside an application saying, hey, here's a tool I want to run. It's going to work in that problem. Yeah, maybe said, I'm like, okay, discover what you're going to do.
It's a how to federate the discovery versus how to federate the computer.
So it's kind of like,
Yeah. So, definitely raises the question of like the boundary of like who's responsible if something happens. So there is like, let's say one theory that holds the data that we're talking about. But it may or may not allow like other theories that access it. I mean, in principle, you can always send your completion of data, so like when your data never has. So that's.
Bring whatever you want, whatever crazy data you want in, but there's no network access. So you can like shift the data outside of the boundary. And to get whatever comes out of your pre-install back, it has to go through some sort of airlock, make sure it's on.
But it may not always be required.
Yeah, it's that, that's exactly much more feasible, because the idea of like, oh, you have the preset of the list of tools kind of limits what you can do.
Yeah, but there are other considerations. Maybe there is no GPU.
Yeah, so like the airlock coming out, like who's looking at that?
You know, like, and then maybe there's some law in that country that holds the data. Maybe that data cannot be supplied. Maybe it doesn't say it cannot be supplied. And then you open up the possibility that the data is transferred within some jurisdiction. And then there is no people wants to work. So we need to look at the cannot always percent and always take the question. And you want yes, you want to present we have to I'm talking about the software. I'm talking about the when you look at the that you raise, most of them research the software. Answering the question why the role of the analyze specification in a problem that refers to implementation, then we are not defined at the environment. So the point is that when we say are we talking about protected software implementation, or are we talking about that follow a set of specified guidelines or standards that make that
review of the tool coming in, or the review of the data
talk about the
one or both or whatever.
The theory and it's a good point, and I still think that we should define it exactly as we said, based on the specification of those. So anything that we say should be supported or is required, or be not in implementation that should be accounted for. I'm not because
You can imagine a risk of a malicious answer. Reality is probably. You know, like just.
Yes, and I also think that probably complex probably require different specification that are not warranted.
I'm very curious about like the TREs around the world. Right, and I see all the time.
So there is the idea of like optional questions that are just specified, but are like
TREs around the world.
but it's not part of the project. Okay, so please move around and clockwise.
Are you moving around or are we?
You are moving.
No, we are
I get to stay.
yes, you are.
We need a music for this part.
And remove chairs.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There's only one thing called Alex to migrate to room. Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah, you can send it over.
I don't get in the breakout.
Do we have to bring it in the
So if you go out, I'm like, how do I check boundaries there? Okay, so I'll use that. Yeah, they can also do it. How many die?
I don't
Yeah, right. Yeah. So the main question here is we have already, we have some more documents. So we assume that already we have like a technical document that tells us, okay, we need the first group like that.
Okay, so,
another question is how can we federate? First, your question here, how can we vision them?
should it be on with? And then how should a researcher or a scheduler retrieve and be involved with the policies?
More problem.
And then
Because let's say I have all those requirements. It says, okay, I need to
depend on different jurisdictions.
I need to compute this one. Container X.
Patients that he can. How can we translate
This says
requirements?
And now I'm basically asking the system, like, where is, like, an instant, where is an environment of goods already existing, already created, that fulfills those requirements, but also the sort of translated legal requirements in terms of you have to make sure that accounted for.
Assumptions are being built of what. First instance.
You have to demo for this one.
We're operating. Next one's standard.
So if it is not, like, we'll just off to move to another one. It's just a voting issue.
Not really.
Yeah.
What is a TRE?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, so first of all, we try to make a distinction between like theory, which maybe has the dialogue and the governance and legal.
Then public institution, then.
Definitely try to take the whole. But like I could imagine maybe that like a theory, for example,
So that PI then goes on, they have ongoing training.
And,
again, you're
that
something.
is able
And then they can
provision
researchers into that environment.
environment on the map
And
where
whatever the
individual
research
computations
does,
take place.
triggers multiple log points.
And that, but that are guaranteed
And then that gets put in an order.
to align with or comply with the
Whether they
regulations
do
that
that
you have in place for your theory.
But
So I'm talking about
from
individual
my point of view as Roger,
processing
and,
environments that are maybe
thing,
spun up on demand for your
reliability
specific task that are sitting
But
within
we have to give them
the
to engage with that policy and make sure that they're getting the make it. And so what they do, I want to run an operation on that. I have to try to API and then pick that off. Very similar. Every single standard not that radios. There's a run up, run, and then they basically have the same tools in a way that we could also like cross.
Yeah, or maybe like maybe you can maybe you still have your like air log or whatever so that somebody looks over this one that should what is that probably the federation aspect because at least in Europe I think I'm sitting in country X but you want that should do it. And it's not just the regulations of your theory where the data is but there's also like legal restrictions that are coming from us. But on the policy side, you may have to create some union or whatever policies are involved, and then maybe provide through like middleware or like some architecture like the ability to spin up those environments that fulfill
So it's like they are at least aware that they're on all of these things, their team is
Interesting, you're describing. I presume that what slabs or none of that is actually technical.
No, we've done rating on we have a fantastic board.
Interesting.
Every time it's on it.
Oh, I mean, the information about all of it.
Oh, right, yeah, that's it, that's yeah, I'm ready, I would have that to be standard everywhere that I can say, look, what's the point you do, find all usable. Policy, this is a really important concept.
it's a good point. That was one of the last moves. We have to certainly, like I mean, what was also mentioned in the last move is that we're looking at how your current works in order to understand how we can federate. I guess
Okay.
Stop yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
like what we did show, like
And I implemented it.
what we started with,
I've read the thing before, implemented the people, so.
one pattern
Think
has
about it.
shown to
How did that whole get treated in the?
rather
you're
than,
not allowed to pick out.
for example, requiring that every
It's like
implementation
perfect,
has implementation supports the encryption and encryption.
So let's say start your count,
For
your
the
actual
encrypted
data.
file,
I
you can actually
literally
provision
have
this through like
You know,
a
you can't
through
take out
middleware.
robust data, this is not robust data, right?
So you send the
Okay,
test
yeah.
task to the test gateway, the
So
test
I'm not
gateway
sure if that was.
attaches
but if
like a
that-
step
probably-
prefence the actual incoming step.
I mean, it's like, yeah.
Encrypt the data,
Good.
appends it with the steps that
Yeah.
re-encrypt the data. So we thought that this might be an interesting pattern to
Yeah.
doesn't make vision. How to make them available on
Right.
need the GA4GH encryption, don't need to implement it on the test
I mean,
level.
I guess you
Because
guys.
are using the specification as it is now, we can facilitate that through the emotion of middleware even. You know, like,
Yeah, so we have a system that is usually in area. And then they
the other
have,
other
they can
thing-
Yeah.
we have like a cadence system. So, yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So, they have Okay, cool. Well, to review. Obviously, authentication process.
But then, but also, you know, like multiple organizations involved, so like, you know, somehow, how can I ensure that? Okay. Understood.
Let's see.
Yeah, the only thing we're talking about is one line. They forget that they have.
All right. Let me get a rest of
Their name and position.
But what policy frameworks is this?
Yeah. Yeah, just a reminder. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was.
existing current tool.
I-
Verifying policy of the location. Or certification, like I said, thousands of those. So, you know, in most. Yeah, so automatic financing framework.
You mean like, you know, you have like something that we also look at us.
And how to align with them, or the existing approaches or ontologies, whether the legal practice guidelines, or machine rule, or all of the imperative. Plus verification steps are you, we'll have all that questions. We're gonna write, I'm sorry.
But that's like, what data. And then I was like, basically, they dash. Which was the one thing? Guaranteed to not, but which.
They have, there is a more out of set that target.
Started with, but yeah.
Oh.
Stafford, guys, I'm sorry that I don't look at it. Okay.
Yeah, you're very much restricted on like what you can do and also. No, I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying, okay, let's say the containers are free. But I have to be approved like that.
Oh, yeah.
So that is like more a question.
Yeah.
This is very. But yeah, sure, like there's lots of questions that you can really answer, there's much more
about making them.
Yeah.
But I think some aspects of it, the provisioning of.
Yes.
Wait, by reaching. What is the legal requirements to possible in some sort of modular manner? I think something that. You cannot, yeah, no, seriously, that's restrictions to or anything like, or any other mechanism where we can find recovery, but
Yeah, I think that probably the so then anyway stuff. Have those screen
all my something that
so we then got out of the validate that before because whatever here you want that's that check that was just your 8 months ago.
So you want to like come up with another standard?
Yeah, and the thing with we made a
That's just, you ask those about how can I actually escape
I would give the I mean, I think question. We're thinking about that. That's why I like kind of think we want more one, but certainly imagine. You want to you want because when you have the.
Yes, that's really nice to. I really
Yes, we want. Yeah, they want more than one because when you only have one, it's crap. Everyone. Well, yeah, exactly that. You want that a little bit of a competitive tension between the people providing.
That's because we're thinking that. We want to use that for not just for. Certainly,
you want choice. You don't want everyone. You don't want 1,000 of them. You want at least 5 have this periodic. Yeah,
it is a problem because many of the work currently cannot and they have to build them.
But I think that is like they might be multiple. They might yeah, they might. I think that's kind of right. You want there to be multiple, but then you don't want to get into well. I have
run over the
you don't want, but then the many one. Everyone side they want to do their own TRE, like every institute. I think because they're under resourced and they shouldn't be. They should be.
Yeah, so they make an area thing too.
Yeah.
That, in a way that
One of the
how guaranteed it can fly with
Yeah, exactly.
I still decided that you're on theory if you went that way.
Yeah, but I'm saying like in Australia, for instance, every institute, I think at the moment, before not to do with UAI, but to do with TREs. Every institute, they don't have the resources, they don't have the manpower, they don't have the skill set, like we're gonna spin up a TRE. I'm actually they probably shouldn't, you should have a few of them run by competent groups. Yeah, exactly, but I'm trying to form the groups where every very small institution in Australia, like, well, we should have a TRE. Should you or should you?
Try to have it all the way. Certified one.
Sustainable architecture before
There will be a session. Still a resource. Around it tomorrow. How our people something.
yeah, I guess okay, how do big clouds do the?
I guess you could.
They don't have.
Very well developed. But partially developed, as we developed.
Probably, I haven't heard it. I'm not sure. So yeah, certainly because don't cover complete also the one time modem, papers for this accountants.
Yeah, so
And then there's also
partially developed, we
access to
but you know, I think it's like 1 to 5 carries. That's not. It's like pretty funny. No, it's like we don't want tons of area. I find it difficult to believe it. I have to know we want 1 to 5 carries.
You either get the computer done or they don't get the computer done because they don't have because they're sitting in a country that's not allowed to now. You should just try to do like what they want to do and either you know the system is done.
There you are, tell you what, like, it's hard, you know, that's the right, what you have to do. So the rest, like, redoing that score.
Okay, so a bunch of
It will
problems.
tell you, well, that's, so how well it always gets straight through. Well, or we can not, mine's so here.
We can just define the problem space, that's already.
Yeah, I got you, there you go. Yeah, better. Now I'm sure you find the data. Yeah.
Put in multiple values.
Yeah, I know they might have. All right, time for up. Everybody is going to time's up.
One of those guys on 10th of right? Can't be more.
Yeah.
I can try and
You don't have to. It's a really part of the
Yeah, so,
yeah, so
it's
like cloud.
Oh, yeah, like, talk.
Oh, yeah, I think number one cloud. Probably not the only one that they don't have cloud. And it's, and then
What I'll do is, I'll read through the question that not everybody will be able to do it, so I'll just kind of.
All right, last table.
Chaotic plan.
We're going to cut down the discussion time to 15 minutes.
And then I had to make
So here, for this table, the assumption is that we somehow magically or have some technical specification that says, hey, use case breakout. So I'm like, as a researcher, I'm the center child that has some requirements for some data. So I want to run some application on it. And so I'm defining the data, and then now we want to design a system that somehow checks. And also like we already know what the sort of technical requirements are for doing somehow security. How can we start somewhere? What multiple areas, other parts of countries, and somehow figure out the computer how could we build a system with the provisions the right environment for this particular task to run in. So that is our this. How could we build this data standard and most importantly, what problem we can
How does this GIF scope of programmatic document framework overlap?
I'm not sure if I should maybe
And alignment. So this
okay, like how can
machine readable
we authenticate ourselves over
how can all of this
multiple
ensure trust verification and annotation? And it's not stated in here,
so
but
like one that
questions that
mentioned
emerge from
is like
higher
you
grade
generate
both
theory,
how much
take a look at how different theories like how they work, and what works and what doesn't, or what is kind of like the minimum overlap and map. So one other aspect is like, okay, we have to, like, this is like focusing on the compute, but how do we find the data, so how do we recovery, open that in the federated result, so what it is computer. Just be careful about mixing up what's in the standards versus what is in individual implementation or individual instances of
worry about that a lot.
because we discussed like a middleware pattern where like we could maybe get around not every implementation support every privacy technology, but you could project middleware. We have
platform for doing we have to comply with the compliance framework
with
their data
that
reflected.
where the
So
data is decrypted and then FM
hospital, they want
so
to
such a pattern
or research, they want to do this.
you need to consider things such as
This
the
year,
location of the researcher,
Lower one.
yeah, yeah.
might be complaints on that.
171. And if you
That the UI is not data, but also we need to think about how potential can be passed.
requirements that are for their data.
Yeah, so that was pretty much
What country from that decides which compliance framework we have.
yeah,
So the ones we're doing
this is
are the ones
first
that
of all,
we're met.
valuable, so
Like,
it needs to
I
find
think the
the
TRE global international, and
and
you know it all.
the aspect of the problem.
I need to know, I would like to know if I were trying to go out there and getting a TRE available or someone who's in Luxembourg. Like, what do I have to do?
Okay, I just said it's enough older than 30 months before it was last. It's not that.
Right, right, it depends on the customer, right, but like, I don't really have a place to start. You know, like, or a place where they can say, where customers can say, like, we're looking for such a big for you to align with these compatible. Is there like, is there something you should feel support this, like, compliance frameworks that people need to strategies for like data protection?
So for we have a question and that's the original and yeah, so I think but I think it's we have planners that system to give a certification of the so the data what you say so this one the certificate of tested interoperable genetics and also this university and for today. So if you want to use data with these then that is but if you want to do
Something like that.
the system satisfied and conventional. That's what we're still at.
But in some way.
But I understand that there is, as you say, how we, make things, faster. That's like Russian, how much available. That was always much. That things like 219 is done. I have a project, which is, that's one level to read all our software and say it's safe now to online your very product. That's also, something that so giving that all strict system, maybe the thing, or say that please, this one, safety now to, and also the comply with the compliance, notify the data provider.
Servers and cloud computing
Just like that.
So it and there's like okay, and it's atrocious. It's like there should be 40, 60, 70 pages of HTML, which has the individual standards, but they match back for technical points. So you need to be having like TLS 1.4 or whatever, like what you run or something. Yeah. So they basically map it once that is there. You then say this is a requirement that is then mapped to standards and gives it a lot of times. So then you actually want to there. You need to go in then see that that is right. But that is exactly what this software is doing. And CrowdStrike, which is like 4 times more expensive. Nowadays, things they actually inject and read the code based on web-based code. Right, or something like that, but it does not usually reflect the infrastructure that so execute.
Yeah.
So some of that exists and is useful, but it's usually only in these looked at, really active upon.
Then now they get to the point where they look at
The map is not actually what it's identified all of the existing systems of technical features.
Yes. Yeah, and that's really kind of in the end is so it's pretty automatically kind of thing. But in the end, there's someone a human which understand it. Really take that up on that. Like a really not really long report, just PDF of saying that I'll get better system is fine.
It's as a lot of times it's cost and risk function. Assessing from the technical person now. The DevOps engineer might say, yeah, this is fine, we're covering it this point via this or via this point of architecture. Some things you can fix, something you don't need to fix, and the question then is on usually on the C level. So yeah, we're happy with that risk, and we'll find somebody else that comes in there or they are happy with that risk. They're serving Oregon pen test line, and they don't get that thing ready. Sometimes you get another pen test line because the first one found it and the second didn't.
I also feel that the problem goes both ways because maybe we should be anything else.
Really, it's usually like the
Make the life faster with managed notes. No, maybe people have a theory of finance, I don't know, whatever, like all other kind of areas with sensitive data, they have solutions, but maybe they're better, we don't even know about that theory.
It works, but like that level of access, nobody will give you access. Nobody will give you access to read the logs of the data. Like, you use it to once you have that level of privilege. That's very usually, I've never seen any outside. That's on pretty specific.
Concerning the question on the approaches and policies for presenting the framework and guidelines, also to explain that here in the European project, we work on like we are trying to approach we are presenting standards and regulations and we come back to an ontology that is linked to a system that analyzes vulnerability. And therefore you can find the students level of your application. Theory is very nice. We are the way to do that. But yes, this in fact is the answer of this question. We represent the ontology of the regulations and we can express that automatically validation, update, and define a level of assurance we want. And we are doing this in a generic head because it is not specific economic tips, but it can
So, some frameworks you mentioned, how does the GIF
Also, I do think that they are like the aspect of the information. I think there are a lot of number of different examples of effective one things that we have to sort of find out about. I can run with the line there. Those pieces are principle there, but I haven't used.
I'm looking for the question is, are you trying to?
No, maybe there's some sort of in the middle of it. You are just like saying, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah.
But then, like, somehow the system has to know, like, where could it, so we have like a prototype of the gameplay test. And then you can check, hey, which tests are available. And so where is the thing of because I hypothetically where they are. Now I already know, okay, I have this theory. And then within that theory, I can now maybe spin up an environment containing.
But I'm wondering, we're talking about policy. Are we all not this very much?
All these types of actually concerned about. That's not what they actually did. I just want people to give that and get and let me run my analysis on top of it. Assuming that and here's my credentials and here's my affiliation and any other kind of trust build item that goes over the wire and then it's firing all over the place and I just get back saying, yeah, sure, I am.
That is certainly like important.
I mean, in reality, it's so far away. Yeah, I mean, that's what you're presenting. Yeah, the program. Like at the reboot, it was like we should do this, and it'll be. It's helping in the other group, like the basis of some of the trust things is signing contracts. About having teams evaluate technical solutions. The idea that you could come up with a computer will provide or a query into the thing and it goes off with their shooting covering data set, allowing you to run for it. I mean, I just don't know. And then the people who are making decisions, they're C-level people. They're deciding which platform they're they need to be able to say these are the things that
set of R commands like the library and allows it to do certain operations where they guarantee that there's no privacy.
like there's,
And this has been
they don't actually end up.
effectively used since
They don't want to
2009
walk
for
in the
such
same
use.
deal back.
You know, it's like super limited.
I guess like,
As are,
when I think of the
certain
governance and
but they have
compliance level
actually fulfilled
and the
this
legal
particular
aspects,
use
it's
case for
basically
many years.
the
And they could
platforms
avoid
and
this legal
for the people.
problems because you never.
Applying for the grants
They don't-
or signing
they don't
out
never-
or the.
You can only get a.
Lawyers and they have to go express, this is what I'm.
They're like, I go, I'm just not doing that, sorry. I'm gonna need a contractual arrangement with the institute of the researchers.
Marketplace
Being
offering
and the data access community.
And so that's how you gather those together in place.
Contract.
You have all of the different-
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If I'm gonna spend a bill somewhere, they're not letting me come in and work, an arbitrary amount of data.
You don't need it for something like that. And then platform developers could be like, these are the things that I comply with.
I'm not defending the current situation. I think
I'm
I'm
not
saying
cryptographic, it's
we
not.
can't dream of the federation without.
Very basic way of expressing.
There's my discussion over there with the contractual terms we would
I
need
think that's what.
to establish trust. And then going, oh,
I don't
well,
know, that's at least
the trust.
the most I
I
can wrap my
our
head
legal
around.
department.
To create a place where you can have not a single compliance framework. The main compliance
Yeah.
frameworks that are going to be internationally recognized in one. Pretty much. Because yeah, everything else becomes technical concern. Like, we're not gonna develop a new compliance framework that's the GA4GH international.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for money and time saved by integrating more geofencing products. You can put towards putting people like airlines, the working on legal. And then the legal will follow because it's not great for them to
Frameworks against.
This is the protocol for it. Maybe have a look at them. Static documentation that maps different processes.
They have-
Already.
They are 90% over them. Why, they see. And there's a fact to so I guess that one way we should identify what exactly.
All right, I think we're like over time already, so like, shall we wrap up? Other?
The problem, I don't think there's a problem, I think there's something much having to. And they like engineering. That's on the way. That's we can understand all stuff. Absolutely matter. We decided that. I mean, you should hear all of there anyway. One of the things that you produce might be, but it's not how it's there. Marketplace that has the multiple device framework together. And I think that would be something like without being the ones doing the application, they might be able to help in this international situation of like which platforms are adhering to which compliance framework. So that like people could shop and then I can clarify what my offering is to their. And then you can also use that in a place. Island comes online and I don't yet have.
Do you want to reach the out?
That's been expressed in the same way or like available for me to get from CrowdStrike. But
Yeah.
they can at least now say, hey, this is what we need. So I was a place to express what the data providers are going to work with your platform.
Other?
So like yeah.
Would they provide?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it would have to be like, descriptive, not, yeah, it's like, it's in one of these apps, just all the controls. Yeah.
Well, then it's really popular.
Yes.
Pavel and Tom, we need to stop, like, we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
Maybe like we can ask one or something.
UK would say, SAS.
Yeah, and then some other country with that one argument that's what we want to answer. I said this, I said, customers can also. Things that are.
Your favorite.
Like, or those are just something.
I know. It's weird. It's kind of that's what I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people are coming back to the main screen now.
Oh,
Yeah. So can we? All breaker groups will close now.
Regulations in the law, and then it will be applied as then you know, we could have the new committee, and then so they can, you know, create and stuff like that. And then so it is a common, right, so yeah, 90% on the optic one. And then optic still we need to, you know, that's a feature in the mention in the Japanese context, because then you have a yeah. Yeah.
So think about GDPR, which is one compliance framework, and how every country in Europe practices it slightly differently. And the technical compression is causing massive problems. So if you one for example,
No. However, we're supposed to wrap up. It speaks to what I want, which is just the most high level thing. For get the next one, give me the most high level thing. What we were just framework, highlight private application. Okay, and then that's. Like there are other things like more. Like the high level. I mean, that's how. I've seen that one. Who's claiming that they have it? Answer the other. Like, actually, the. Yeah, I think that would probably be helpful because like a lot of research institutes.
Okay, we really need to come to an end. We need to wrap up. Stop speaking, Boris. Stop speaking, Pavel. Okay, for the wrap up, we just like present like the table guides, present just like kind of like the core points or highlights or whatever. We will like Pavel and me and Usama who's online will take some weeks to process this and write the document and bring all of this together, but just to have some highlights here of like what was being discussed at the different tables. I'm just gonna start. So yeah, so for so one point was to like really focus on federated analytics, so separated data discovery, but of course without federated data discovery we also won't have federated analytics, so we need to look where we are with federated discovery as well, but the core problem here that we want to address is still like, okay, just spin up the environment that actually does the compute. We need to think, of course, about authentication in federated systems. So how can we, like, you know, agree on, is it just OIDC? Is that enough? Is passport enough? That needs to be, we need to see. We should like look at how TREs do this currently, like existing TREs. Before we start federating them, we should really understand how they work. So maybe get the survey, like get people involved from like different TREs and how they operate. And then like define like sort of overlap of like, okay, what aspects are there where we can actually help with the GA4GH products and standardization and automation. We should be careful about like talking about standards versus talking about implementations versus talking about instances. Like if we like the framework should probably like rest as much as possible really on what the standards provide and not something that is ambiguous, that could be implemented or not, and so on. We should like look outside of like what's happening in GA4GH, because there may be a lot of like, I mean, we are not the only people dealing with sensitive data. We are not the only people dealing with federated analytics. There are like lots of other communities. There are like lots of other solutions out there in finance and like or whatever other fields. Likewise, we may need to like look into like GA4GH, whether that is a good branding to go beyond, there's certain standards like test, for example. I don't really see what it has to do with genomics and health, and it might like be off-putting to some people. It's like, why should I use something from GA4GH when I'm in finance or something? But it might actually be a great product, right? So I'm thinking maybe working with IETF, W3C, and so on. Do we find that certain standards are like, maybe should be sort of putting on a wider scale than just genomics? What else? So then somebody mentioned Andrew, thank you, the federated fantasy. So careful whether like the use case is like is maybe too far away, and whether like there's too many legal issues that we shouldn't even address it. But it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. So personally, I think we should at least start with the technical aspects as much as we can, and then hopefully drive the legal forward. I guess that's pretty much the core, the gist of the discussions. But yeah, there was certainly several more points. Thanks everybody for the discussion, and yeah, I'll pass it now to Pavel.
So some quick summary from the trust and privacy enhancing technology table. So researchers rarely evaluate technology directly, so they just have a binary trust, yes or no, given that they have some legal contracts and such, and data custodians with which they're working with. It's also fit to legal dimension of this matter. But we find out that there are interesting stakeholder in it. It's cybersecurity insurances, and they really interested in mitigating risk or data breaches and such. And also we outline that trust in general forms in layers. So each authority, like custodian, legal, technical, contributes its own assurance on the respective level of expertise, and so it's a layered, complicated thing. And effectively, from the end user perspective, service data availability that it just works creates a perceived trustworthiness for the system, and technically, from the technology perspective, there are still kind of big three bets. It's a differential privacy, homomorphic encryption, TEs. There are not much use cases, but they are, and there are some trade-offs between efficiency, usability, and privacy, but it's still shaping. And one interesting idea that we also discussed that we can imagine, and there are some discussions in duo work groups, data use ontology, that services, GA4GH API services, they might present some kind of trust assertions of legal means. For example, service can say that, hey, I'm running by organization that has ISO 27001, and probably even provide some evidence, even just a PDF doc with signature of authorized body, and we even might use LLMs to check if it's really about it, and it might work already. And it's also, as I said, it's effectively, the first dimension we need to verify to gain trust in systems is legal things. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So, Tom, would you mind presenting some summary?
Yeah, so it was fascinating. The three groups kind of came to a lot of the same conclusions that it's a very complicated landscape of different policies that apply, and you're always going to have some that derive from your location, the country you're in, but also what type of data you're doing and whether, what kind of business environment you're operating in. So there's always going to be many compliance frameworks that are needed to comply with, and it's very, very difficult to automate too much of that. Let's see. I'm just going to summarize this. There's perspectives that differ between who's evaluating the trustedness of a TRE. Researchers often really are not being paid to care or evaluate whether something should be trusted or not. But the custodian of the environment will have to make sure that they are documenting whether the PIs and researchers are actually doing what is expected of them to make sure that their research environment is secure and trustable. And then yet another set of perspectives from C-level people, high-level executives and other kind of stakeholders that are taking on the risk to either accept risks or say that this has got to be fixed, because you get all sorts of different. The risks are just perceived differently at different levels, and the recommendations of whether to accept or reject risks will be just different depending on who is telling you, whether that's a pen tester or an auditor or some other person making those judgments. So I guess it was I would think it's fair to say that they're a little bit pessimistic about the ability to automate compliance for TREs. I don't know. That's my summary, I guess.
Yeah, and we have online participants and separate summaries from them. How can they connect?
Maybe we can ask one person from each group, like we can see for policy and governance, maybe Michael Bowman can report back.
Yeah, let's, Osama, can you provide a summary, please?
Yeah, sure. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, sorry, I didn't get the funding to be here. We were discussing online about the first topic, which was the policies and governance. And mostly the people stayed for the whole hour. It was a very interesting discussion, although we didn't have any policy expert in the room. So all of us were technical, including myself. I work a lot with confidential computing. The whole idea is kind of concurring what Tom was just saying, that the compliance frameworks are way too complicated. There are a number of policy restrictions that were mentioned, and we took a very simple use case to kind of derive the discussions, which was there is a researcher sitting somewhere and there is compute happening, let's say somewhere else, and there is the data that he requires is somewhere else. From that repository he has to access it and so on. So all of these three places have their own regulations and policies. How do we fulfill all of these policies at the same time? And that was the whole discussion which was revolving around. And so we kind of said that it's good to start with a single use case, which is this, namely this researcher use case, rather than going to complicated ones like distributed research use cases and so on. And with this, we discussed two particular perspectives, like the geographic One, that each one of these components, let's say, is on different geographic area, and the financial one, what are the costs related to this implementation, whether it's the same cloud, same data center, or what are the costs from the researcher perspective, and so on. And at the end, we were talking a little bit about the technical requirements, or kind of summarizing these technical requirements. And as said by Tom, also, it turned out to be quite a complicated thing to look into. One thing specifically we kind of discussed at the end was the attested TLS perspective, which kind of links just what Pavel mentioned, for a specific technology, confidential computing, in order to achieve these kind of objectives. And that's what I am also working on standardizing in the IETF. And we have a new working group which is just being formed, and hopefully in the next month we will have a first meeting where we are trying to standardize these protocols, and the outcome of that standard would be formally verified and providing all the guarantees, hopefully all the taking care of all the attacks and so on. And
Sama,
yeah, that's
we have to move on. Thank you.
Sure.
Summary. Yeah, who can present from the GA4GH product integration online? The whole summary. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you everyone. So we will take some time to digest all of this and come back to all of you with some results.
Gonna have regular monthly meetings, I think.
Yes, GA4GH Slack channel, GIF TRE Open Suite. Yeah, thank you.
Share this direction.